But tell us about what you do. Like, tell us about Jam Productions and what that company does as a service.
I used to work at Townhouse and Olympic Studios as an engineer, and in end of 1997 I left and set up Jam Productions 2001. And initially we went out to venues and recorded live sound, and took it back into the studio to mix. And then from there, it became obvious that we should be doing the live visual as well. I worked with quite a few film companies who didn't seem to understand audio at all.
Yeah.
Clients would come into the studio and listen to the mixes and see a very rough copy of the visual, and the two were never married up until the very end. So it caused a lot of problems, and it was very expensive for clients.
Traditionally, separate teams working on audio and visuals, yeah.
And a lot of film crews, I find, still work in that way, where the audio is a last-minute consideration.
Yeah, like an afterthought, basically. Yeah.
So we'd go into the venue, we'd film multi-camera, 12 cameras, whatever, all high definition, and then we'd do the audio side, but we kept it 50%. So 50% was audio, it was never a last minute consideration, 50% was visual. What we found that if someone had a visual edit, and it was an amazing visual edit, if they'd taken no time on the audio mix and it was rough, it made the visual edit look really dodgy and poor quality. But the other way around, if the visual edit was really not very good, very rough, and you put an amazing audio track on it, it actually increased the quality or the look of the visual edit. So it shows how absolutely important audio is.
Yeah, I've heard that sound is more than half of the picture, they say.
Absolutely, and people just don't seem to understand that because there's budgets have been cut.
Yeah.
So at Townhouse and Olympic Studios, we always use Genelec. Not near fields, but always the big monitors were always Genelec. When I went down to Paul Smith's music studios, to start off, I can't even remember what Paul had, but it wasn't very good. And then we went around and we researched different people, and finally we got Steve to come in and set up Genelec for us. And that worked really well. I do mixes that I take into mastering, and not very much had to be done to it, which is the ideal situation. This is my home environment, but I would loathe to have people think of it as a home studio, because it's not a home studio. It's a professional studio. I've had clients come in here. It's as good as, or probably actually better, and a more comfortable environment than most of the studios I've been around, smaller studios, not Townhouse and Olympic size studios, but smaller studios. And I asked Steve to come in and set up Genelec here again. And in fact, when Steve actually toned the room, it was better than the room I was working in bus space. And in fact, I think you said it was...
Better than most rooms.
Better than Townhouse, Olympic, Abbey Road.
Yeah.
So to have that in here, this is not a home studio. This is a professional studio. And I think a lot of people, a majority of people are going to be working like this in the future.
Time moves on.
It's exactly what you'll find in somewhere else, a really expensive commercial studio. So last year for Eagle Rock, I mixed Deep Purple live at Montreux. It was filmed in Montreux. Yeah. I received 64 channels of 96K 24-bit files. It's a full orchestra with the band, and it was a 120-minute show. Wow. So I mixed that here, and it's out. So out on DVD, Blu-ray, and CD. So this is commercial studio work. Yeah. We took it to Metropolis to be mastered, and they hardly had to do anything to it at all.
It's amazing.
So for me, this has been an amazing studio to have this set up here. The way that we've set up the room, so Steve's also given me tips about setting up the room so we don't have a lot of reflections. So, just the way the room was anyway was naturally perfect for it because we've got a drum
Yeah.
bass trap with the open door behind me.
Yeah.
We've got acoustic treatment with the shelves.
Yeah, you've got the sort of the bookshelf with the offset books basically behind, so it works really well. Like almost the shape of the room is kind of perfect for that.
Absolutely. We've done projects such as Van Morrison, OMD, which went to #1 in the charts. Stephen Stills, that's what I worked with Elliot Roberts on from Lookout Management. That was out on Warner's. And that's just working in exactly the same sort of environmental setup. So Paul will go and do the visual editing and I will do all the mixing 5.1 surround and stereo in a setup which has always been very similar to this. And we can always update each other. So we believe that working in this way really beats the bigger companies, bigger film companies where they're working separately with audio and separately with visual.